A warm welcome to all the participants today for joining us on this session. We all have been talking a lot about how digital is progressing in pharma, how we are going to mix it, what digital is all about. So today we have brought you a very, very important speaker for this topic, Dr. Manoj Kumar. Welcome, Dr. Manoj. And let me introduce in short what our speaker has done. Almost many of you must be knowing. Dr. Manoj is Senior Vice President and Strategic Business Unit Head with Intas Pharmaceuticals, and he's responsible for Superspecialty healthcare business, which includes oncology, transplant, dialysis, critical care, plasma, and hospital business. With more than 25 years of experience in pharmaceutical and healthcare industry, he has worked in global institutions of repute, including Intas, Novartis, AstraZeneca, and Servier. Under his leadership, Intas has launched many innovative molecules, such as Equilib technology, biosimilars, and he has played a crucial role in the emergence of Intas as a leading global company in the super specialty space. A doctorate in philosophy management from MIT University is also an alumni of IIM Bangalore, MIT University, National Law School, Bangalore, and Sainik School. A rare mix of industry and academia. He has been called as an honorary guest lecturer in institutes of repute such as IIM Lucknow, MIT University, and Goa Institute of Management. He has represented pharma industry also at various important webinars, including held by the Economic Times, an avid marathoner and a motivational speaker also. So let us hear about this topic from Dr. Manoj Kumar from Intas. Over to you, Dr. Manoj.
Thank you, Dr. Swati, Dr. Satish, and the wonderful team of Pharma State Academy. I see a good number of students from various institutes as well. So warm welcome to each one of you to listen to something which has been not just my work, but a work of a lot of other people as well. What I would try doing over a period of close to 50 to 60 minutes before we break out for Q&A session is, give you a glimpse of real original research work, and which will give you a couple of insights into the real domain. First of all, these are very two important words in our life as professionals, as students: learn and unlearn. And the day we get a hang of these two words, I think there is only going to be a progression. Many a times, in the garb of continuing and being in the comfort quotient, we really do not wish to unlearn quite a lot of things. And these are two important words for those of us who wish to make a career in pharmaceutical industry: digital and conventional. So my talk today would typically revolve around these four words: learn, unlearn, digital, and conventional. Friends, this is my favorite picture, and I get reminded of some real life situations. And those of us who have small children at home would know that how worshipped are Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Black Panther, Iron Man, and many more. Never has been a time when these superheroes have wished and admired healthcare professionals. Last 20 months has been an emergence of healthcare professionals. Probably for the first time, people have realized that how important it is to survive, to have a good life. And those of us who are listening today are those chosen few who have knowingly or unknowingly carved their world, career, life into healthcare world. So the message from this slide is we are at the right place at the right time. There are two industries which is really emerging. One, healthcare, pharma, hospitals, holistic healing. And the second area which is really emerging is IT and IT related communications. So today's topic can't be much more apt than this. I think those of us who are a little older would clearly identify with this picture. When we started our career, we had very heavy bag. We used to travel using public transport, wait in front of a doctor's cabin, and would get those just a few moments of interaction. From there, the world moved from big bag to small bag, from visual aid to iPads and tablets. The waiting area became planned and rostering started happening. And in this busy world, we also started finding some roots of our means of communication. So I think what is important is it is not just during these times we are seeing a change. Even a pharmaceutical industry over a period of time have undergone a lot of change. The large, bulky visual aids became small leave behind literatures. Small leave behind literatures became PDF versions. But is this sufficient is something that we really need to reflect and ponder. So I was lucky enough to get a seat to do my PhD. And a few years back, I was trying to understand what is that which would really help the industry, because I was already employed and it was not money which was kind of pushing me to do my research. So I charted a path which was probably relevant. And that's where my research topic came in: impact and relevance of digital marketing in Indian pharmaceutical industry, with specific reference to super specialists. What I'm going to present to you today is small snippets of 4.5 years of research work and its findings, probably more suited to the corporate and students. And I have purposely taken out the hardcore research elements from this. During my research journey, I could interact, communicate with close to 2,000 plus doctors spread across India. A couple of them were international speakers as well. Since the research work was into pharmaceutical industry, it was also very important to get industry perspective. So I engaged with sales professionals, and they were 303 in number. In addition to this, it was equally important to get people sitting in typically called HO, head office, marketing and brand managers. And it was equally important to get industry leaders' insights, because they are the one who are driving the industry and leading the way. So I could also interact, communicate, and get data points from close to 121 sales leaders and marketing professionals and business leaders. So what I'm going to present to you is close to a data point of close to 3,000 interactions spread over 4 years, compiled, researched, and then I'm going to give you those in snippets of few slides. And what were my findings? Finding number one: there has been a lot of talk about, we should go digital. But when you really do the desk research and find out, and you look into the digital behavior of doctors community, I was surprised. Everybody is talking about digital. But what was very interesting is that only 18% of them had something as simple as their own website. That means almost 80% of them did not had a professional, personalized footprint, which means what? That obviously they are digitally present, but it was the hospitals which were linking these doctors digitally. And even if you look into the websites of the doctors, most of the time it was an appointment roster. That means you can book an appointment. It was not a hardcore interactive tool, which these guys were kind of having. So, this means what? If I'm a pharmaceutical professional and I need to digitally engage and provide my value added service, because every doctor these days is expecting a value added service, this is one area which we can provide value. That means I can make website, I can enable my doctors to be digitally present. What was even more interesting, even those who had their own website, that they were not updated. That means they were made at one point of time and after that they forgot. Whereas if you look into the websites of pharmaceutical industry or hospitals, of course they were appointment rosters, but they were updated regularly. There's a saying in digital world that if you do not update at regular frequency, you die. And that you would have seen even in your own posts. If your posts are not liked, if people do not communicate on those value offerings, they do not get appreciated. So this was the first research finding. When you move into the second research, was there a need? Was there something which doctors were wanting? So you would be surprised to know that a very large set of doctors, 75% approximately, see a role of digital consultancy. Now, this is just amazing. Yesterday, I was lucky enough to be in another webinar and was speaking to a AIMS HOD, All India Institute of Medical Science. And what was very interesting from his mouth was every week he gives digital consultancy to close to 125 doctors. And this was also my finding of my research work. You remember March 25th, 2020. It's a golden period in healthcare industry, almost 16, 17 months back. During pandemic time, government went ahead and approved telemedicine. The conventional pharma is about patient being present in the hospital or in a doctor's clinic, and doctors is also physically present, and there is a pharma physical interaction. That's how conventional it is. But there is a different world which you are experiencing today. Dr. Swati just updated us that we have close to 1,070 registration plus, more than 200 students, rest all into corporate world. This would not have been possible if the world was not digital. And so is a very different world which is already happening. When a pharma industry goes, he sees very few patients maybe, and he feels that the doctor patient load has come down, typical pharma, but in reality he might be seeing more patients. The reason is he is present in front of his laptop. There is a WhatsApp which is there in his mobile. That WhatsApp provides him those scan images. He sees those scan images. He's talking to his patient. There is another registered medical practitioner who is sitting in that remote town giving him all the information such as pulse, physical examination. He's seeing the report on the WhatsApp. He's able to physically see the patient. And on his WhatsApp, he communicates the message and his prescription. And that registered medical practitioner sitting in that city along with the patient is counseling. Now, what is changing for the farmer? What is changing for the farmer is that patient, if he would have come physically, he would have taken the medicine in that hospital or in that pharmacy. But he needs the medicine there. And probably there would not be a stockist, there would not be a chemist. So the industry which will focus on availability are the one which is going to do much, much better. So if I'm a sales professional, if I'm a marketing professional, I probably would focus my effort, energy in understanding telemedicine and understanding what changes because of this telemedicine. If we do not understand the market creation because of telemedicine, there is a big chunk which we are going to miss. The third part of the research finding was that almost 90% of the doctors see a role of real world data generation and also to discuss the critical case. Please understand this slightly better. Most of us, especially Indian pharmaceutical industry, are excellent in expanding the reach and penetration, but probably we are not that, I would not say great, but we do not have that bandwidth and strength and probably the money power to come up with an innovative research molecule. And let's say the drug is patented for almost 15, 20 years. Obviously, every good company would invest their effort, energy into finding the indication which is widely used. Maybe one indication, second indication. And by the time the patent is over, there are many companies with the same generic. So their effort quotient on uses expansion of those molecules changes. But is there no use? Probably there are much wider use of the same molecule. But that would not come from those innovative companies because now they have lost patent. So, especially in India, especially in companies which is developing countries, there is a lot of role to understand where all the same molecule could be used. And that is what was also perceived by the doctors community. So organization or market here, which focuses on real world data generation, converting it into a publication and presenting the same concepts into major conference are the one who are going to have a better use of their molecule. And if you are the number one or number two into that particular space, you would get better share. Similarly, India is a vast country and there are a lot of niche areas where drugs are used or critical cases are used. But when you look into the publication of the same, you would not see so much of publication. Reason being is that there is so many patients which waiting for the person, for the doctor, that he is not in a position to document. So the market here, the organization which focuses on documenting these niche indications, critical care indications, are the one who would take those insights. When you go to the next finding, you would find that almost 55% of the doctors community are changing their knowledge behavior, their learning behavior. There are portals such as UpToDate, Lancet, New England Journal of Medicine, and many more concerning those therapy areas. And these are independent, they are unbiased, They're driven by science. They give complete balanced information. They're backed up by level of evidence. So since such informations are available 15 to 20 years before, one of the major value-added services which could have been provided by pharma was science and science dissipation. We used to feel proud that we have given some content, some value addition to the doctors. But any doctor having 10 fingers these days get those value additions on his mobile. So is he expecting from a pharmaceutical company this information? Or he's expecting something else? So if the same information about the same molecule or same therapy comes from an unbiased knowledge portal, it probably would get appreciated more. So is this the time for 10 pharmaceutical company talking about meropenem individually, or those 10 pharmaceutical company who are brand leaders who go into knowledge expansion and uses meropenem or emerging data on meropenem, because it is God knows how many decades old product, in up to date? Is it about that red ocean strategy, or it is about uses expansion of the molecule? My research says that since the doctor is already moving towards an unbiased portal, probably this would be a good time for 10 pharmaceutical company brand leaders to think that should I invest my energy into developing a leave behind literature of those Me Too molecules, or should I club this much of money and push it for a molecule presence into unbiased portal? My suggestion would be do the second. Your market would expand, users of the molecule will expand, you would get your share if you're a better market here. The fifth finding was again very interesting. We talk about, should I need to train doctors to be on social media platform or how to connect digitally? They're already there. 60% of the super specialist doctors, or probably more, are regular visitors. But the reason why they're there on the digital media at this point of time is more for emotional reasons. They want to connect to family, friends. They wish to understand what is happening in whose life, who is doing what, who is traveling where, who is getting recognized, who is not getting recognized. Typical human needs. But if you look into another need, which came across in my research finding, was a need to network and connect to fellow professionals. So that was the second most important need for a doctor's community. We sometimes wonder that, do they wish to use social media platform for educational reasons? I already mentioned to you for that. For educational reason, it was New England Journal of Medicine, Up to Date, Lancet, Journal of Clinical Oncology, Blood, and such, PubMed. Education and entertainment for social media connectivity or digital media connectivity was not a very, very high need. So the need to connect to family, friends, and network was coming across as a strong research finding. A very, very important question again. There are various gods which is present, and I feel this is again another god which we have. Google God. And there are a lot of sayings which is revolving around Google. If you wish to die, be on the second page of Google. Google is God. Almost all of us Google. Our day begins with Google, ends with Google. Same is the situation with patients. Before they reach out to a doctor, before they buy a medicine, before they look into a surgical procedure, the way we Google, same is the way patients Google or patients caregiver Google. Now, these findings gets converted into questions and it reaches a doctor's cabin when the patient or the patient's caregiver reaches there. What do I wish to say by this finding? I think the point which I wish to say by this finding is, do the doctors answer these Google questions? The finding was almost 76% of them are answering it. They answer it willingly. They answer it with irritation. And some of them also charge extra to answer these Google questions. But the fact of the matter is, they do answer it. What do I mean by this? What I mean by this is, if you are a pharmaceutical company, if you are a pharmaceutical marketeer, the impression about your company, about your molecule is happening even before the patient or caregiver is reaching a doctor for treatment. So the fact about trust making or non-trust making, or what to take or what not to take, is already in his mind before he's actually taking an advice from a doctor. So it is extremely important to have a Google presence of your organization and about your molecule and about the drug which you wants to get prescribed. Coming back to the seventh finding, which is again very interesting, and I think most of us in the pharmaceutical industry would be having some hang of it. So we asked this question, that how much of time you are willing to give to pharma, and at what frequency, and what is your content, what is that you expect from them. And we asked the same question to pharmaceutical sales professional and pharmaceutical marketeers. And you know what came very interesting was that there was a disconnect between industry and doctors community. Most of the doctors wanted to meet pharma once a month, and most of the pharma professional wanted to meet doctors once a week, especially the big ones. So they want to meet once a month. We want to meet once a week. There is a disconnect. That means whatever communication piece we have planned, that is not getting converted in totality. And the time duration is 2 to 5 minutes for doctors, and we want to take more than 5 minutes. So again, there is a disconnect. And I already told in the beginning that they wanted science-based information from an unbiased portal. Whereas we think that the knowledge is my job. Maybe 10 to 15 years before, this could have been my job. Is it still the same? So when a specific question was asked, what is that they expect from pharma? They said, commercial information, which means where is the drug most easily available? Who is the right person? What other service the patient will get? Is there any other value added offering which is there along with this molecule for your company? So beyond pill services is something which came across as a very, very strong requirement in terms of content. What diet and nutrition? We think that this is my job to talk about diet and nutrition, but that came across as not a very specific need, because the diet and nutrition related to therapy probably is already there in Google. So things, those information which is not there on Google was something which was the gap the doctors community wanted a pharmaceutical industry to fulfill. So is the pharmaceutical industry relevant? They're relevant. But is there a need to change? Is there a need to adapt in terms of our frequency, in terms of our visits, in terms of our content? Probably yes. And I'm sure all of us are taking cognizance of this understanding and trying to make those amends in our value offering. Point number 8. Doctors still prefer, the topic is what not to do or what to continue. You'd be surprised to know that from a pharmaceutical industry, we talk about social media, digital media, social media marketing, creating a digital footprint. But there was something which we were constantly doing, and they were, if we wanted to reach out to a doctor before WhatsApp, we used to SMS. And now after WhatsApp, we, small content, we still WhatsApp to them. And if it is something which required deep thinking, deep learning, we used to email it to them. When the same question was asked, what is that which they still prefer? Almost 90% of them said, from pharmaceutical industry, the most preferred media of communication digitally is WhatsApp, SMS, and email. And many of us have stopped making content which is relevant to WhatsApp, SMS, and email because it is not cool. Who does email marketing? It's not cool. I used to do it 15 years before. But this is something which we really need to continue and expand because this is still the most preferred media. Friends, let's not forget that from a PC, we moved to laptop. Today, the viewership time of a mobile is much, much higher than a laptop or an iPad. So, what is there in your hand is something which gets used more. So, it is recommended to use content which is mobile friendly, which is reaching out to them much easier. Something even more interesting was there. It was in terms of timing, especially during pandemic time. We as marketers created content and we pushed it to our team, or the sales professional also gathered something. And every morning we were pushing those communication to the doctors. So a similar question was asked. How do you view an early morning communication or an evening communication? It says, anything which disturbs me while seeing a patient, anything which disturbs me when I'm in an anxious mode, creates a negative impression, and probably that brand doesn't get written. This guy is too pushy. This guy is too loud. The point which I wanted to communicate is, please think through whether early morning communication is better or an evening post OPD communication is over. You will understand the answer. So what is important is create something which is subtle, create something which gets liked, create something which creates a lot of positive emotions, push it at the time when he is receptive, he's in a mood to listen. We need to think through how do we respond to a sales pitch in our own life when we are busy. So even digitalization has got a timing, and that is something which we need to understand. How much of time a doctor or a pharmaceutical professional is present? It was surprising that majority of us who were there in head office, we were there for a longer period of time, almost more than an hour. My gut feeling says that it is even more. Even those of us who are there in sales job, while waiting outside a doctor's clinic, we spend a lot of time on these platforms. So majority of the pharma professionals were more than an hour, and majority of doctors community was in patches of 3 for 15 minutes. I'm talking about busy doctors, those who give us business. So in patches with a multiple of 15 to 30 minutes duration. So please understand that they are present in the digital space less than us, one. And that also they need it for socialization and networking. And then there is a time for digital communication. So how much to create, how long to create, and at what frequency to create, a lot depends on a very customized offering, looking into the digital behavior, not an umbrella offering. So to understand the digital behavior of a doctor personalized to that level is extremely important and critical. Coming to the last portions of few of my findings, these are, please remember, these are snippets only. Social media uses varies at doctors levels and at pharma level. And I would club it with this one and the second last one, type of social media together. I think the most common one which is used by all the community very widely still is Facebook. More than 70% presence of doctors community, more than 90% presence of pharma marketeers, more than 85% presence of pharma sales professionals. So there is an infrastructure which is already there on Facebook. And those of us who are digital marketeer or have some understanding of digital marketing find it uncool to be on the Facebook now. There's also rumors which is revolving, and there is also a talk which is like, oh, who uses Facebook these days? These are for uncool professionals. And we better be on the Instagram. So users by surgeons, those who like videos, those who like to see some demonstrative actions, were the one who were more appreciative about Instagram. YouTube was largely visited by pharma marketing professionals and less by pharma sales professionals. The Twitter was used by super specialist community more, and LinkedIn was used more by pharma professionals than doctors. So if I can summarize, Facebook was very common. LinkedIn was for professionals and those who wanted to do B2B marketing. Instagram was for more demonstrative behaviors, and YouTube was used more by pharma marketing professionals. This is something very interesting. A question was asked to leaders: how much is their specific digital budget? What is digital budget? We have a budget. and we allocate. So it is very interesting that almost everybody is talking about, you know, digitalization, and there is no specific allocation. And those companies, those organizations which had their own allocation, they were in the range of 10% of their total promo budget. That means there is an intent, we are talking about it, but we are not making specific allocations. So there's a learning in this finding that if you want to advance in that particular segment, there has to be a allocation, there has to be a mindset, there has to be a leadership, push to these things. Only then things will progress. So these were my research findings, and I think based on these research findings, a couple of things comes across as conclusions. So are we relevant? Are pharma marketing and sales professionals relevant? We are strongly relevant because still there is a need for relationship. Still there is a human connect. Still people want to meet, greet, hug, shake hand. But is this something which can continue if it continues like this? Probably no. And we really need to have that mindset change that uh, probably what continued and what would continue even if there is no third wave or even if the world comes out of pandemic. My friend, world has already seen the impact of IT enabled communication. Patients have already seen the impact of IT enabled communication, and so have doctors, so have distributors, so have stockists. All of us need to embrace it, adapt it, and make it an integral part of our process and value system. A baby wearing a long overhaul coat. Can a digital strategy be uniform? We remember we used to make visual aids. This visual aid is for gastro. This visual aid is for physicians. This communication is for cardiologists. Can we continue like this? Probably we can't. There has to be a customized behavior even among cardiologists, even among oncologists. Oncologists who like physical make and feel. Oncologists who are comfortable digitally. Oncologist who wishes to see it in the morning. Cardiologist who wishes to see it in the evening. Cardiologist who would prefer a webinar over a physical visit. Cardiologist who would like to see up the molecule information in up to date. So there is going to be a lot of detailed matrix to understand physical and digital behavior of customers. And somewhere down the line, those pitching based on Google intelligence or artificial intelligence is going to customize those things. And you would be seeing those customization even in our own digital, fidgeting that we do. You like a shoe? You have not bought a shoe? After 15 days, you'll get a reminder from Amazon. So somewhere down the line, the industry also need to adapt the digital behavior of doctors community and customize its strategy. I think this is about pharma marketing 1.0 and pharma marketing 2.0. I'll focus on 2.0 for paucity of time. I think somewhere down the line, I mentioned that it is customer who will be the king. No more it is about science and only science. We probably need to go beyond the pill. It would not just be doctors. It would be doctors, patients, healthcare professionals, nurses. And it is not just to know digitalization. Digitalization would become a part of our life. So it is it is extremely important to understand it completely in totality. But in digital marketing, there are two words. One is digital and second is marketing. I think currently what is talked more is digital. And somewhere down the line, we are not giving stress to marketing. If the content is good, if the marketing is good, it gets picked up. Only if the communication is bad, it will take its own sweet time to reach. I'll give you some examples. How many times we have seen St. Stephen's College advertising or Lady Shri Ram College advertising, or we seeing an ad of an IAS post or the best school in your city. If the content is good, things reaches. So I would still say that it is extremely important to have a great content. If the content is good, it becomes easy for marketeers to advertise. But even then, having a very strong marketing strategy is crucial and important. Digitalization is one realm of marketing. And all of us as marketeer, all of us as sales professional really need to understand that if the content is good, if the marketing strategy is good, digitalization is one way to reach out to a customer. There are a couple of things which has become sine qua non, without which we cannot survive. So I've broken this slide into start, stop, and continue. I think I already discussed that. Still, the doctors community want simple, quick message. Sir, this time is the webinar, this time is the meeting. Shall we do this? Routine, impulsive reactions, mobile marketing. Deep thinking, something which requires concept creations, emails. Post it, let him read at the time when he prefers. I think what probably we really need to reflect on is, should we need to do vigorous brain reminder? Too much of physical inputs, bomb it. Constantly talking only about products. Is this something which we really need to do that aggressively? Is this something which is creating a positive impression about the brand? Or this is leading to too much of push? There are quite a lot of other things which is coming across as important. I told you that if you're not on Google, there's a chance that first impressions will not get created. So search engine optimization, if you're a marketing, you need to understand. Artificial intelligence, what is the digital behavior? Machine learning, how do I understand that digital behavior and convert it into algorithms, business buckets, social media marketing. They're simple things, very, very simple things. Your doctor has made a post and you have only liked it. And there is another gentleman who has responded by writing it. The chance is that the guy who writes it is going to get appreciated more. Technology-enabled collaboration. The doctor wants to do a meeting. I call up my head office, or I just wait outside his clinic, open my laptop, create that Zoom link, and it's sorted. The days of phone a friend will be numbered. How technically enabled we are ourselves are something which is going to embrace us for a better career management. We have talked quite a lot about it. I will try to give you a model post this slide. There would be some set which will continue with physical. There would be some set which would continue to prefer the digital interaction. So there would be quite a lot of set which will be a hybrid, which the world is calling physical. So it's a mix of physical and digital communication behavior. But can I break it down into small things? For example, there's something called my headquarter, my area, and I continue to do digital and physical. But there are a lot of other things. For resource reasons, somebody is not able to reach out to a particular place. There would be increasing number of guys who would say no to pharma. Their needs are not there, they don't want to. And that there's a likelihood that that number is still open to digital interaction. Do I need to create a manpower, or do I need to create a virtual artificial intelligence backed up by center of excellence, which provides data analytics, monitoring, which does the content and which reaches out to a virtual medical rep is something could be the call in future. Another thing is that all of us during our management time or in some training has read about AIDA model, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action. Now, what is this AIDA digitally? Is this something which is relevant in digital space? When we were doing this work, we realized, and when you spoke to patients, caregiver, they said, there are a lot of Google they do even when they perceive that there could be something wrong. They just want to be aware. They want to be healthy. They want to be in a space where they do not have to undergo the same thing which their father went or mom went. So there is a lot of work which a patient or a healthy volunteer or healthy person is having. So the Google space is being used for a lot of holistic work, a lot of prevention work, a lot of just work for being healthy. And you would see that there is a lot of digital companies which is coming into this particular space. Running apps, diet and nutrition app, health app, sleep app. If you have some bad habit cessation apps. You have Healthify Me, you have Strava, you have Raniac. Same is the situation for a pharmaceutical company. Majority of the pharmaceutical company are present when there's a need for a drug. That means in the stage of desire and action. That means you had this disease, now you need to take my medicine. But those of us who understand digital space, if you want to create an impression, if you want to leave a mark, if you want to be recognized as a serious company, if you want to recognize as a serious marketeer, it makes a lot of sense to be in the space of prevention. Talk about how not to have cancer. Talk about how to be healthy. Talk about how to prevent diabetes. So those organizations which have spent their effort, energy into using the services of doctors to prevent a disease, to create attention about that particular therapy or that particular body, or are the one who gets more conversion. It's very simple human psychology. You trust somebody when you when they were your friend, when there was no need to be a friend. It is a similar psychology even in the digital space. When somebody is pitching you for their product, when you already need them, no trust is built. When somebody is giving you information or awareness about healing, prevention, when you don't need it, when you're healthy, the trust gets created, organization image gets created. So it is said that you should spend a lot of your effort, energy in attention, interest generation, in preventing a disease. Automatically your molecule or your brand gets written. You see the organization, almost every organization is putting their proper resource. So it is necessary to have a digital mindset. For those of us who are in a leadership position, it is important to digitally drive and create that infrastructure and environment. And for us who are in operationals, it is important to accept that this is there, this is likely to continue. Probably for the organization, I think it is important to continue the relationship marketing, team building, soft skills. I already mentioned about one size fits all. Take a chocolate box, give it to 500 doctors. Probably will not work. What probably will work in future is which chocolate? Chocolate with nuts, chocolates with caramel, chocolates with vanilla flavor, chocolate at what occasion? Chocolate during Diwali or chocolate during New Year or Easter? So probably a customized strategy, absolutely adaptable to that person as a human life is going to work. Probably center of excellence, personalized, digital and specific budget allocation is what is expected from organizations and leaders. So if I can just summarize for paucity of time before the Q&A, there are 4 areas, and this is my last slide, where things are going to be there. One, we need to adapt the technology and probably we not become an expert at it. We need to understand what technology we needed and probably approach the various learned guys or experts in that particular domain. Human beings are still alive. Relationships still will continue. Relationships still will be useful. There is absolutely no technology can replace trust, emotions, feelings, happiness, positive environment. But when we adapt technology, it will always give us a summative effect. We think about something and we do not invest, things would not happen. And there would be various different kind of healthcare models which will be there, and we probably need to understand this. Things are likely to move only from therapy areas to specific areas.